Mr. Gordon, first of all, thank you so much for your time. I can imagine that you're pretty busy. And then, so thank you for accepting to share with us your experience with VRIPAC.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, I would like to record this conversation. Everything we will share together will stay anonymous. We're not linking any information to any specific respondent. So, if
So who is this call on behalf?
Who is
this commentary for then?
Actually, the idea is that we are talking with different clients from VRIPAC as you, and at the end we will summarize the findings without mentioning anybody, without saying who said what. Because the idea for VRIPAC is to improve their customer experience. So this is the ultimate goal. So do you agree with this? Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Allora. So as I wrote later on today, I don't have any specific list of questions. So everything starts with a very simple one. So when it was the first time you considered to approach VRIPAC?
Yeah, so I was introduced to VRIPAC at the Monaco Boat Show some years ago when I was interested in a secondary yacht that was on the market, and the broker that I was dealing with, very casually introduced me to Bart and Marnix, and told me that VRIPAC had been involved in the design of this particular yacht, and it would therefore make sense for me to, undertake, to consult maybe with them or ask them if they would like to help us, with a couple of, design changes, like when people buy boats, they always want to do certain things, they have it. So the designer who had worked on the boat previously has an intimate history and knowledge of the boat. And therefore, so that was the introduction. And it wasn't long before we approached Marnix, and I had some conversations with him first to see, to get acquainted with him, and we decided. I figured it seemed like a very good fit, and I decided that it would be worth my while to ask them to do a few drawings and on a few modifications. So that's how we kicked things off. Really. I can get into more detail as you wish.
So basically, if I well understood, so you were looking for a pre-loved yacht, and then you ended up in designing a new one.
Well, yeah, you're getting ahead pretty fast here. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's correct. I was introduced to them when I was first interested in another yacht, on the market, at the boat show, and we did. In fact, I'm just trying to think, because we did several things together before we conceived the original, the new design. The new design came much later. Okay, so there was a second project. There was a Fed ship that I went into contract with, and I went into contract with some drawings on some modifications to the boat with this whole stern extension. And a beach club design and so on and so forth. We'd come up with some changes in drawings, which we had costed with a couple of yards before I went to contract. So that was some other work that I did with VRIPAC, with Marnix and his team. This is some considerable time before we undertook the project, that I have with them. I don't know if you want to, project Neptunia is the name
Okay.
of the new design. But is that clear, or are you still want more?
No, it's fine. So it means that you are a yacht owner since quite a long time, if I understand well.
Yes, I've been a yachtsman all my life, pretty much. But in the last 10 years we sold a how would I put, a groundbreaking sailing vessel to we sold her how do I explain? So we've had quite a bit of experience with a number of sized yachts. The most recent one, sailing vessel that I just mentioned, was sold to an interesting owner who went and took her and refitted her. But she was a 39-meter blue water cruiser sailing vessel, and this was a family yacht that none of us really wanted. We wanted to move on and do some different things. So that is why I've sort of moved into motor yachts from the last, that's how we ended up with a motor yacht project.
Mm. Because, of course, the motor yacht offers a completely different experience than a sailing yacht.
Absolutely. I'm still a sailor in my heart of hearts, but sometimes in life you make compromises as you get older, and you want the family to enjoy maybe more space, or maybe there's a certain creature comforts that come with a motor yacht. A sailing vessel is different. It's less space, less stability, less just as much enjoyment from my point of view. But if you want to go and do some global cruising, a motor yacht when you're older, maybe a little bit. You can still do sailing off a motor yacht if you have a sailboat on board, small sailboat, but you certainly have much more comfort, and it provides a completely different experience. I regard myself as an adventurer type, and I don't want to maybe sail every day, but certainly I know what I'm looking for in a motor yacht.
Okay.
And the free pack, we can talk about free pack in particular, but the DNA of free pack really lends itself to that, to that kind of design profile. And I've seen a lot of, having been into their studio in Holland, I see, they've done a lot of really super interesting cutting edge projects that appeal to me. And so for me, I felt I felt it would be worthwhile to pursue my own design, with a brief and so on and so forth. Now, where we've ended up, there's still work to be done, and I anticipate that this will, the project will continue to refine itself over time. But Prepack really did, I would say, an outstanding job when it comes to exterior design. They've not done any interior design, but of course we know the spaces we have. They've done the general, the general arrangement. But the project still has some way to go, until before conception. I mean, conception started coming together, but on plans we have some ways to go still. Not far. So go ahead, ask me more questions.
Okay, no, but I'm listening to you is very interesting. As I said, it will be a conversation. So you mentioned that Vripak, so you appreciated the lines they're able to design, and then their special, they have this special touch actually. And so do you think this is the better strengths they have, or is there anything else that you can add?
Well, I think, in the first instance, the first thing I would say is that the one thing that attracted me to Vreepack was really the ease of at which I could engage with some of the personalities there at the firm. Marnix in particular was my sort of go-to yacht designer. I find the conversations we have to be super relaxed. And he really gets it. He kind of understands the client's needs, the client's experience. Not just we don't just talk about design all the time, but he's able to relate to the client in a way that I've never been able to relate with other designers. And there was when and I've also had the I've also had the opportunity to talk one-on-one with Bart, the other partner at the firm. And he's also given me some very good, straightforward, and really, some very sort of good advice. But I've never, and we brought him into a meeting to do some validation. We gave him the plans of the project, and we said, Bart, give us the critique. What is wrong? What is missing in this project? What are the things that you think don't work? And he did a very honest appraisal of the project. Came back with a number of things which were all very, very interesting. But in terms of personality, that's the first thing that really sort of got me kind of grounded in and really gave me this, a lot of belief in VREPAC. Was really the first thing was Marnix as an individual, somebody I could found very easy to talk to. He was very, just very straightforward with me. Not trying to sell me a design, that he'd already done. Of course, he has a lot of experience and he has lots of other things that he's already done, but he was really, giving me, what I consider, the full designer attention. Listening to us. And of course, I have to say I've been working with a brokerage firm who sort of assisted me with this project. And that's maybe another thing we should touch on in a bit. But the broker relationship with VREPAC probably had a fair amount to do for my introduction, because that's how I met them in the first place. So without the broker relationship, I probably would not have come across Marnix. Unless I did a little investigating myself. But of course, you don't just, it's not just about it's not just about the personality and the designer himself. It's about the firm and what they can back up, their work with. And that is, there's a whole team approach there. There are lots of skilled people, young and some people who've been there for a while, but a lot of young people, actually, a lot of young new talent at VREPAC, working on projects as a team. And of course, as I said to you, walking around their offices, I see they're working on. They have dozens of projects. Many in this business don't come to life because they're just concepts, they're drawings, and then they never happen. But I just was really, really taken by their kind of no nonsense. There's a bit of a kind of utilitarian approach, but they really kind of they understand. They listen to you carefully, and they kind of really understand the practical aspects of yacht design. Some designers, they know practical aspects, but they, sometimes you have to reinvent things and be a little bit contrarian. You don't develop a space. If you don't use a space, then a space should have a purpose. Whether it's a purpose or a dual purpose. So creating every single square inch on a boat is vitally important. That it has a proper function. Yes. And that it's not just a waste of space. Otherwise, what's the point? And these guys, I think, really, they're kind of a no-nonsense design shop. First of all, they want to do the naval architecture, which, of course, is something that, I'm told they're a little bit different because they want to do their own naval architecture before a yard. Because a yard is always going to redo its own naval architecture. So that's maybe the one thing, that, for me, it was a bit of a learning curve. And, we had to, accept that was one of their conditions for engaging in the design project, that they were going to do their calculations, and that involves, of course, a little bit more fees, which I understand, and that's just the way it was. But
so, can I go back to something you mentioned?
Sure.
You said that actually the easiness in establishing a relationship with them was particularly pleasant, if I can say, compared to something that something that happened in the previous relationship with other designers or providers in the yachting business. Can you tell me for an example? Can you give me an example about a bad experience with somebody else in order to understand, to make a comparison?
I think, first of all, let me say, in boating, there's no bad experience unless there's something bad. But because if you have a passion for yachting, you love to talk yachting. There's never a bad conversation about boats. But yeah, no. What I think what you're asking for is, I have I have a number of relationships with other designers, and and I would say that the one thing that I don't particularly enjoy is when a designer is really trying to just sort of, trying just to cultivate you and meet your every need, and it kind of throws things at you, trying to sell you things, that he's invented for other people, perhaps, If it's a concept that maybe already existed, that he hasn't sold it, and he's, and now he's saying, oh, you know what, you want a 50-meter project, $499 GT. Oh, I got exactly what you need. They try and not hard sell, but soft sell you. They say, they've got something exactly for you when this was a 70-meter project, but they're gonna cut it back and make it 50 meters.
Okay.
To simplify it.
So even before listening to what to your needs.
Yeah, they're gonna try and and this one designer, he said to me, he said to me, you cannot in the boating, if you want to, your boating experience, it's not, you have to look at design into the future, not in the past, so doing what he calls, repack, what you might want to call their boats legacy boats, because they're quite traditional. They can be quite traditional in a modern sense that they're being built now with some new technology, bit of green technology, but we're not quite there, as we all know. Some people will go and build yachts and put in the hybrid diesel, electric diesel, knowing full well that it's a bit of a misconception, because it's maybe a little greener, but it's not exactly what it's not the sustainable solution. What I'm saying, whereas the repack, we considered all the different options. Do you want to do electric? Do you want to do electric diesel? Do you want to and you want to do pods? Do you want to do? But we ended up going back to a traditional twin prop, engine powered vessel, which is, those have been around for a long, long time, and so the designer, who's kind of trying to sell me on things, is trying to tell me that I'm really looking to the past and not the future when it comes to boat design, and trying to convince me that that I'm really making a mistake by engaging the service by doing something as old-fashioned as I am with repack. So that's an experience that I didn't quite enjoy. But then when I said, listen, your design's great, but I don't want to be the first to build a completely, experimental project. But I'm interested in sailing. So then this particular designer said, well, okay, well, I have something for you if that's what you want to do. I have a sailing project, but so you can't jump around,
Okay, so I can say that you like the. It seems that you're talking about authenticity in the way they establish a relationship with the client. They're authentic.
Yeah, very authentic. Very authentic. I mean, the down-to-earth nature of engaging with a guy like Mike, that really, for me, really, that to me is vitally important, to have a relationship like that where you can really talk about anything, very down to earth, nobody's pretending anything, in the sense that, of course I'm the client, but he's not gonna be afraid to tell me, that something can't be done, or to give me an idea that maybe I don't like. I want everything is on the table. It has to be a really, two-way conversation. Both people have to feel uber comfortable. First of all, as I'm telling telling you, as much as I've been I've been to yachting all my life, I have never actually done a design project from scratch. So my family members have, and I've been involved with it. I've been involved, but not to that point. Just a second, somebody's there. Just a second. Oh, sorry. I thought somebody was there. Sorry. So go ahead.
So you were saying.
So what I'm saying is, just for the record, and to be clear here, this is my first kind of major new design project. I've been involved in others, but they weren't my own. They were my brothers, my fathers, my families. So I think I wanted to make sure that working with doing a project with Repack, I didn't quite know, where this was going to go. But as soon as I engaged with Monix, a few conversations, in person and then on the phone, I felt very comfortable. Very comfortable, putting my confidence in his hands to take me through the process, and I've explained a little bit of the background, how we met each other, in fact, I remember the first time we met in person in Monaco, he gave me a book. They have a book with some of the firm's projects. This is probably they haven't done it. Maybe they haven't done another book. I don't think since. But he gave me the book. I took it away with me. It's quite heavy. I said, and I took it back home, and I had a good look through it. And I just felt that the firm had a good long history of some really nice things. They did with captured my imagination and had some real kind of classic contemporary classic yachts.
Okay.
And
Okay. So it seems that you have a long history with a love story, I would say, with yachts through your family. So it is something that is.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Correct.
So
Correct.
born and
Yes.
raised on yachts.
Born and raised on yachts from the get-go, from sailing pretty much all my life. I've been very fortunate to cruise and been in many interesting places. I don't want to sound boastful or anything, but I've sailed to Antarctica. I've sailed Patagonia, South Georgia, and the Atlantic. I've sailed to Australia. I've sailed in Asia. I've done, Northern Europe. I've cruised in a lot of great places, and it's a passion of mine. And I'm trying to get back into it in a very different way now. The whole motor yachting is not something I have a lot of experience, but it's something that I think if I could design, if Repack can design a boat for me that's it's a yachtsman's yacht, meaning it has that sailing DNA in it. That's the one thing maybe I haven't said, and you can go back in the recording. I haven't said that the Repack boats, some of them have a little bit of that yachting, that sailing kind of feel, if you will, or I call it the yachting DNA. So sailing DNA. That was one of the things in the brief. Is I wanted the boat to have that feel. You come on board and you can see it conceived by a sailor who wants more comfort.
Okay, so they're authentic. They're able to listen, to capture the nature of the new lady you would like to have, if I can.
Yes.
And okay, I see. And so I think that you're describing the perfect relationship that can be established. But do you think they can improve something, or they're so perfect?
Listen. I'll tell you another angle that we haven't discussed is I'm familiar with the Dutch culture. And I have a long history and appreciation for Holland and Dutch culture, particularly Dutch people who are involved in the yachting industry. I spent a lot of my youth in the south of Holland, sailing actively, racing and sailing, all the time, throughout the year with my family. My family lived in Belgium for a number of years, and so as a result, we have in the family many Dutch friends, and so I can identify with the culture. I know that Holland is in my view, Holland represents,
Madonna.
You have a big busy doorbell, no?
No, actually, the people is texting me, whatever. Sorry.
Texting you. Sorry, it's not the doorbell. So what I was getting at is, I have a lot of respect for Dutch, the Dutch super yachting industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because, even more so than Germany. I know Germany is a great industrial country that produces, very high quality, cars and yachts and so on and so forth. But I think, there's no doubt to me that Dutch have the experience, are the sort of top of the ladder when it comes to super yachting, because, they have quality, they have craftsmanship, they have the culture, they have the seagoing culture. That's where Marnix comes in. He understands the kind of relationship people have with the sea, and whether it's sailing or motor yachting, and so we quickly use that, as a good interaction, between us. He was able to kind of identify. I think he understood that, we had a cultural connection from the beginning. But you're asking me, what can they do better? What can they do better? Well, obviously, when you go and visit them at their offices, it's quite a trip. It's an hour and a half or 2 hours in the car from Schiphol. It's in the north of the country, and so they choose to have their headquarters, in a very, beautiful country, remote part of Holland, in Friesland in the north, as you know. I'm sure. Have you been to their headquarters?
No, I know their office is here in Monaco.
Okay. So I've never visited their offices in Monaco, but I've been to see them in Holland several times. And I made the effort because that's where they are, and that's part of the package, and I was happy to go and visit them. And, I think as much as, sometimes owners can say, Marnix, I'm coming to Holland to see you and your team, oh, that's great, can you come to the headquarters? No, well, I'm going to be in Amsterdam, it's too far, come. So they can also organize a meeting for you in Amsterdam, which they did for me once, but I prefer to go to their headquarters and meet with the team people, meet with as many people as possible, and take in, that down-to-earth feeling of their company. They have a very sort of grounded, long history with yacht design, and you have to go to their headquarters to actually feel to feel it. From all the way from the lady, the receptionist, at the company, she was there to welcome me and organize, coffees and lunch, and even she did more than that. I think she sent me the invoice at the end. I think she was multitasking, playing different roles, but it was very, very difficult to critique them for anything that they I'm not saying they do everything perfectly, but I can't really fault them for many things, and it's hard for me to critique them, because I think, I don't think they should be. They try and provide a service, what I call a one-stop, what they call it, a one-stop shop is an expression we use in certain parts of the world. Where I know, for example, Marnix was very keen to be a part to pitch for the interior design of the yacht. Now, he's done interior design for some clients, who think, they like what Repack can do for them. For me, I think this is an area that, it doesn't really meet my style. I know they can do some really nice things, but I think if I put them in a lineup against some of my favorite interior yacht designers, I think, they wouldn't probably rank in the top three. So I'm not saying, I don't think that's a weakness, but I don't expect a yacht designer to do absolutely everything. I don't expect to be perfect at everything, but I will, I engage them for what I think they're really good at. And that's, what I was looking for is exterior design and GA and something unique to the project. The vessel that we created, to me, is on brief. It's the brief that I wrote, and of course we can always improve it over time. But it's I think it looks like a really nice repack. I mean, I think if these guys, if and when this project gets conceived in a yard, I will be very excited to see the reaction in the press and across in the industry, because I think Repack also are very proud of the design. They're a proud company. They're really pleased with the result of all the work that they put into this project, because it took us quite a bit of time to get the look of the vessel. You don't get it done right away. We worked hard through different iterations, and they presented me with different styles, and eventually we got it. And I think we the result was very, very satisfactory. But we still continue to work. The project still needs to work, particularly on the interior and exterior spaces. In terms of furnishing, and it needs a more design work.
Okay. You mentioned few interesting things, many interesting things, and two in particular, sorry. One is related to the Dutch culture. Then, of course, it is so pretty obvious, I would say. I would, and then you made the comparison between Dutch and German. And then you didn't mention Italians. Do you...
Okay.
Do you think?
So sorry.
No. Do you think there is the Italians are equally good or less, or do you recognize this expertise mainly to Dutch people? Just to complete the information about.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. That's a very good point you raised. I think that Italy rates very highly in the super yachting. I mean, I know the big companies, the big yards. In fact, I visited with the top 3 yards in the last 2 months in Italy, and I can see they have some very, very heavy order books. And we have costed our project across a number of yards from Turkey to Italy to Holland, and I would say I was I'm very impressed with the quality. The quality of I mean, I can only judge. I'm talking about a yard now, so in terms of quality of executing a project and delivering, and also from a management perspective, whether it's CRN or we visited 2 yards in Ancona, visited a yard in La Spezia, Admiral. The C group, the Italian C group. So there's no doubt in my mind that Italy is very well positioned. I think between some of these countries, I'm not going to say it really depends what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
But what I don't know about Italy, and which maybe is not something I was looking for, is kind of more the sort of Italian, design, the kind of a more, I'm more of a traditional, I was looking for something a bit more traditional. So I wouldn't go to Italy for that. Now, I know some of these companies are trying to redevelop brands, in a very sort of, very classic look yacht. They're going back into past, try and recreate, the look of the past. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think so. So as much as I'm sure there's a lot of great design, there is a lot of great, super yacht design coming from Italy. It wasn't for me per se. It wasn't for, I never sort of considered, maybe had I spent more time, I might have found some Italian design, studios that would help me. But I can say that there is one Italian studio that stands out for me, because I'm a sailor. So, and I picked this up long ago. There's no doubt my favorite studio in Italy for design is Nauta in Milan.
Okay.
They've done some very appealing work to at least to me, especially on the sailing side of things. I know they design sailboats, but they've done some interiors and so on and so forth. And they've done some projects for individuals that I've seen in the press and so on. And so, it's a pretty, I would say, desirable designer. For people like me who come from the yachting world, coming from the sailing world, like Nauta.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense.
I didn't say Nautor, I said Nauta, right?
Sì. No, not there's one. No, not there's one. I never understood. And and something that also you mentioned is connected to. You were talking about a possible ranking. So most probably you said, if I'm correct, Vripag maybe it's not one. Doesn't come to the top 3 designers, if I well understood. So in this case, I would ask, who are the top 3 or the other designers that catched your attention?
No, listen. I don't rank. I've never really ranked. Motor yachting designers. My only experience is with Vripag. And I wouldn't even want to go and rate other designers, but I do know, I do know sailboat designers, which I think, it's probably not worth. That's not for the conversation now, but I do, I know the big, I know the big yachting, sailboat designers. That it's kind of more in my scope. So as I said, motor yachting, I know some other big names, but I wouldn't rank them,
No, it's not about ranking, but just to mention other important designers. Let's put it in this way.
RWD, would be one of them. Probably. I think. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head here. What other?
So you do not recall any particular. Let's put it in this way.
Because I'm sort of agnostic a little bit.
Okay.
I can think. When Marnix asked me, for some reference yachts, I just mentioned RWD. There was one reference yacht from that designer that came to mind because I've actually I know the boat a little. I know the boat in question a little bit, but I cannot
really mention somebody else. You cannot really.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't really rank other designers. I can go through a Boat International magazine and tell you yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But I don't. Nothing. Listen. If I tell you, it's the broker will always try and convince you to buy a Fed ship, okay? Because it's more than a boat, that's how they market themselves, But if you look at the classic Fed ships, not the new ones from today, but these boats are beautiful, and that's who the designers are.
Everlasting.
Yeah, but it's one of 2 or 3, designers, from 20 years ago. These are sort of classic Dutch craftsmanship boats. De Vogue. I don't know.
No, but it's okay. It's okay. I was just just understand. No, absolutely no. There are no wrong or right questions. So it is just to understand. How do you think Vripak can increase their visibility, and if needed, according to you?
I think Vripak managed. I think Vripak, do an excellent job in communicating, in communicating with some of the influencers in the industry already. From what I can see myself, I'm in marketing, so that's my bread and butter. But that's my background is brand marketing, and I think Vripak, I think they punch above their weight for a firm of their size. So they're not the biggest and most important, but I think they certainly have some very good connections, in the trade that allow them to get their message through, in the right places. I'm thinking, their relationship with Boat International. I think they punch above their weight. They're influencers. Bart and Marnix, they have the ear of the editor of Boat International. There's no doubt about it. What's his name? Campbell, I think.
Stuart
Campbell. I think because of their down to earth nature, I think these guys are they're not showmen. They're just two normal guys who just do what they love. And that's probably why I can identify with them, and that's why I probably enjoyed doing a project with them. So what other marketing? What other visibility? Could they be more visible? Well, I think they make their products speak for themselves. Okay, so I mean that's another thing. Sometimes they did a you might argue they have a diversity of clients. Okay, they have some European clients in the U.S. They recently they had a Middle Eastern client. They did a big project for, and interestingly enough, I haven't been on board that vessel, which I would have liked to have seen in person, recently. But now, they face a situation where the captain of that vessel, that new vessel, is really not up to scratch. So the client got some crew that are probably, not really doing the boat justice. So, that's a bit of a difficult situation for Vripak, especially if they want to showcase a boat that they recent build project. I think you probably know the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
But in terms of you're asking me specifically about how they communicate, market themselves. They have a good touch. They have a beautiful online presence. They do a little bit of social media. They do their they do their event in Amsterdam last week. I don't know. Did you attend? Maybe the meeting?
No. I could not go. You mean to Metz?
Yeah, to Metz. They do the evening event. With they explore cutting edge design and all this. I've regrettably, I've been invited several times. I wasn't able to go last week, and then I went once. I was invited, and the event got canceled because of COVID. But I think from what I see on the videos, that come out of these TED Talk. You know what a TED Talk is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do this kind of TED Talk format where you get a speaker up there for 15 minutes, and gives their idea, and then there's a discussion and some questions, and so some of the video footage that comes from that event, they really they do a beautiful job in communicating and marketing those bids to the industry, to the trade. So I think Repack, punch pretty well above their weight, when it comes to making positive noise about themselves. I think they have a good image, despite the fact that they don't really need to advertise. Yes, they advertise when they have a new vessel, a new boat, a new project that's just been realized, perhaps. But they're very smart. They're very understated, but punch above their weight, in my view.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure they can always come and find some ways to enhance, to do better, but it's not so bad. I would say it's pretty, at least.
Can I ask you one thing, because you're making me think to something else? What is the industry, especially because you're in marketing, what is the industry that, according to you, is offering the best customer experience? I'm talking about the industry that offering the best customer experience, and what is the industry that offers the worst customer experience in general?
Industry or player? What
No,
player
industry. So so it can be the yachting industry compared to, I don't know, the luxury hotel industry. I don't know. I'm saying whatever.
Well, let me just tell you. I think in the yachting industry, let's face it, if you're in the market for a fed ship, the experience, I would say, is probably not all bad, but that's maybe they cater to a very different clientele. By the way, that's another hot topic. Fedship have always wanted to do a repack design project. They've never done one, and so they were very, very much, chasing that one. They will always chase that one. If they can get a repack project in one of their yards, they would love that. But that's who knows when that'll happen. Certainly not for me. But I would say worst industry experience, customer experience, is think about the airline industry. The airline industry is horrible. Think about the customer experience there. Unless you live in Asia, where the Asian providers, have much more experience when it comes to customer experiences, because the standard of service is so much higher in that part of the world. It goes for hospitality as well. In hospitality, we all know that just some of the Asian touches, chains of hotels in the Far East, certainly, of course, with some of the top hospitality in Western Europe, it's also at a fairly high standard. But if you really want to learn the best standards, go to countries in Asia. Maybe starting with the traditional, Japan is maybe a more mature market, but some of these other more developing countries, service super.
Okay. Thank you. Do you think there is a very interesting and many information? Do you think there is anything else that is worth to be mentioned in this conversation?
Well, yeah. I want. I think you brought up a point about the role of Italian. Whether it's the yachting industry or design. I have a long-standing history with Italy. In the sense that I've spent many years with, throughout my life that, connected with Italy in many different ways, and continue to feel to have a strong connection with your. It sounds like you're Italian, so with your country.
No, but no, I didn't ask for it because of this.
No. I know you did. But I just wanted to kind of re-emphasize that I think we were talking specifically about repack and the whole Dutch culture, Dutch connection with yachting and with my own sort of background, and my upbringing and boating experience, and so identifying with the Dutch, as the leaders in yachting. I don't want to demean, some of the Italian, participants in the super yachting industry. Particularly, they're also very keen. There's lots of sailing, coming out of sailing, design coming out of various designers and maybe not yards, but what have we not touched on? What have we not touched on?
Yes, I have the very last question. What is the future of yachting according to you? Of the yachting, of the industry?
I think obviously COVID, the pandemic has certainly, had a massive influence on the industry in terms of, bringing, people like me to live their life, to live their life through their passions, in yachting, the whole, whereas before people would say, they were much slower to moving to the things that they love. But if you now, I think so that I think have had a profound impact on the yachting industry, on the future of yachting. I think it will only grow. Some of this niche industry, that we're talking about, with all the wealth creation in the world in the last, in the last decade, I would say, there's just an insatiable amount of appetite and for yachts and design services and everything to do with super yachting. It's only going to become more popular. But I think people, for me, I want to make sure that my yacht is future proof, and that means I want more sustainable technology in the boat, and that's the one thing that maybe I was hoping that maybe VRIPAC could prove to me that they have more experience in this area. But nobody in the yachting industry has a lot of experience.
No.
VRIPAC have a solar technology, a solar cell technology that they're developing for the yachting industry, and this is maybe it's a kind of a project, in-house project that they're developing. I think they use it. They want to be a participant in this new technology, but they have to be careful not to use it to bring clients in thinking that they're all very green, because the twin shaft traditional motor, the engineering that we designed in our project was just not very green. It was hardly there's a bit of new battery technology in there, but it's pretty traditional.
Yeah, it's not really ready. But, sorry, may I ask you how old are you? Then I tell you why.
Age is a state of mind.
No, first of all, you have a super, I don't know really, you have a super young voice, so I'm trying to understand. But
I was born in 1964.
Okay. Okay.
I don't count anymore, so I have.
It's fine. No, but it's fine. No, but I'm asking you about your age because I'm on the side of this project with VRIPAC. We have me and my colleague. We have just started a new project that is yachting from the perspective of the youngest clients, so kids and grandkids of yacht owners. So I started the conversation with the under 40. And I want to know what is their view, especially from a sustainability perspective. So this is why it's very interesting. So, and some of them are mentioning that the oldest generation, so their parents and their grandparents, are not really into it. So this is why, but this is not what you're saying. So you're very keen to very attentive. This is what I got. No, so interesting.
Absolutely. No. For me, this is one of the things that tears me away from motor yachting. I don't want to burn fuel an hour. I want to have something, very, very progressive, and I want to eliminate fossil fuels if I can. But that's just not possible today.
Yeah.
you're going to build today, but maybe in 2, 3, talking about hydrogen. There are technologies that are going to come around, but they will be expensive at first. And the question is, can they be built at scale in a cost-effective way? Introduced into some of these projects. But I'm not faulting Repack for not having that on offer. I don't think a lot of yards talk. They talk a lot about sustainability, and maybe some of them do a little bit of greenwashing, as you probably know. But you have to, guys like Repack have to be very careful. When they have to obviously listen to the needs of their clients, and clients I think are pushing this more and more. So this would be an area that I would work on more heavily, much more heavily, to see how they can offer some solutions, that do have cleaner energy requirements.
Okay, thank you.
But,
no, I will take it into consideration in our research. So here at the University of Monaco, we live in this cluster that makes us, very close to yacht owners, companies, and then.
I've had an opportunity to hear you. I think Stuart Campbell did an interview with you and your colleague once.
Yeah.
On a podcast.
Yeah,
and
it does.
And when Monix mentioned your name, or when you introduced yourself to me, I recognized the name, and so I believe you guys do you do some pretty interesting work in your own in your space. So.
Whatever we can do. So we will launch the first results of this of the sustainable research in June at the Monaco Yacht Club. Maybe I can send you the invitation. If you can come, it would be interesting to have you with us.
Okay.
Anyhow, I really thank you so much for your time, for the precious information you shared with me. And of course, we will come back with you and the other respondents at the end of this project. So we will send you an executive summary to see the results of this research. Thanks to your contribution.
I hope that was helpful. I'm very passionate about this industry and about yachting in general, and I hope this is helpful to all those involved. And thank you for your time and inviting me to share my views.
No, thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much. And then your passion is tangible, really tangible. So.
Okay. Well, let me know if I can be of further assistance. But in the meantime, thank you, and I wish you a pleasant evening.
You too. Thank you so much.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. Buona serata. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.